Okay, just a quick update on where I'm at. I cut the bottom of the buttstock off to the right height that we want, and now you see I've got that monster flat spot, and somehow I gotta find a way to give this thing a nice looking oval, and it looks like we got a lot of wood to remove. So I'm not going to bore you with the couple hours it's probably going to take me for me to do it. But maybe as I work on each step I might turn the camera on so you can see what I'm doing, but I'm not going to make you watch all of it. This part came out pretty good. I'll glass bed this into the action when I got the through bolt in there. But overall, it's looking pretty good. Okay everybody, here's an update on this. I spent a half hour on the belt sander and got this largely curved. I just traced the recoil pad on here to see how I was doing on the proportion of the oval shape, and this is going to be a lot skinnier stock than this shape, but I just held it off to one side and copied the curve, and held it off on the other side and copied the curve, traced it out. And I think, you know, that it doesn't need to be that wide, but you know, just to look at the shape of that, it seems like a pleasing enough shape. Could taper down more here to the toe, so I'm just going to use that as a guide, and where it is right now is really close to that, so that's good. I'm not going to do any more significant shaping on the basic curve until the recoil pad is on there, and then see what I get. But I used the slack side of the belt sander with 80 grit, and removing that much material, you can't help but make the lines wander. So then every now and then, mainly the top, I put it on the top side of the belt sander to flatten it out a little bit. I didn't want to lower this down, just carefully rolled it back and forth and try to maintain this line fairly straight. And in fact, I still have some of the rough carving marks, so I know I have more I can go down. So it's really not quite finished, but pretty close. One thing I didn't really think about, and I think I'll be okay, but it's cutting it close, but the through bolt going through, the stock used to have a lot of drop, and the through bolt already came out below center. And so I was like, oh man, I don't have a lot of room. It's going to come out very close to the toe for the hole. So I do need to make sure I leave this fat enough for the hole. Of course, this is going to get cut back a little ways, so it's going to be even thicker and a little taller. Hopefully I'll have a little more room to work with. Or not taller so much as lower, right? No, it'll actually be higher. So it cuts this way, it'll be a little shorter. Well, I think I have enough to work with, but it's cutting it close. But I'm pretty sure it'll be alright. So the next thing I got to do is I got this line from this side's curve. This is still pretty, it's got like a little flat spot here. When I put the recoil pad on, I got to really work this shape. It's largely roughed out. And this line is pretty close to being down the middle. It's just a little bit of the left side of being in the middle, so I still have a little bit of room to work it around. But in this side I could largely work because I can get this on the belt sander, but up here underneath the cheek piece, of course I can't get that on the belt sander. So that's what it would have been nice about being able to shape the master before putting the cheek piece on, because you get a really nice shape of the entire buttstock and then put the cheek piece on it. Makes it very nice and symmetrical. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Saber carbide burrs, this one, and then I got another one here that doesn't have the round over that I might also use, but it'll probably be able to do most of it with this. I'm just going to get in here and shape this and give it a bit of a curve and get this to wrap around the bottom. And I use a variable speed drill, and I hold it like this so that I have good control over it, you know, like using a die grinder. And then I just squish my little finger up against it, you know, by how I squeeze it. I don't know if I can hold this just right. And operate it. I have used a foot pedal. I have a foot pedal. and then you just lock the trigger on full. That works. But anyway, I use a reversible drill, so I can just flip it in the other direction, because when you're working around a curve, if it's trying to crawl out of there, you flip the direction the other way, and then it'll suck down into that curve. That's why flex shafts aren't so great. They don't like being ran in reverse, because they're basically a coil wound steel spring in there. I mean, you can run them in reverse and be kind of mild about it. I have done that, but this actually works just fine. So that's what I'm going to do, and I got to do a little bit more prep, and maybe once I get a few practice swipes at it with the burr, I'll turn the camera on so you can see what I'm doing. Alright, I'm going to step up to a bigger shaper. Be back in a minute. So I pulled out this angle grinder that I keep mounted with this other Sabre burr disc. And we're going to use this to do a little more aggressive shaping. Something bit me in the process of getting it out. And by that I mean not an insect. Something. I banged my hand on something. It's going to be a little bit of a bruise. A little owie. Oh well. If you see me bleeding, at least now you know why. Eyes, ears, nose. Here we goes. Yep, I like it. I like it. Still got a little bit more to work on. Probably do that on the belt sander so that I can true that up. Let me take some stuff off. Maybe you can hear me and I can hear myself talk. So yeah, I think I'll true that up on the belt sander and finish that off. And I think it's time to drill the through hole so that I can get the recoil pad mounted, and then do that finish shaping. That'll be done. Then we can work on the pistol grip and the fit to the steel here. Coming along pretty good. So I guess I could mention that when I was working the burr in this gap, and there's still a little spot there, the goal is to get down below the deepest carving divot. And then you can worry about, or I can worry about, truing up what results afterwards. In other words, making it fair. Because just running my finger along here, I can feel there's a valley there, and a hill there, and another valley there. But those things don't matter. The first goal is get rid of all the carving divots. They got to go away, whatever it takes. So once you get all the carving divots done, basically what you've done is turn them into valleys. Where there weren't any carving divots, they've turned into hills. And then we got to fair that. And I typically do that with 80 grit machine belt sanding paper rolled up in a tight roll, and just fair it. It actually 80 grit, a machine paper like that, machine belt paper, it really makes the wood melt away. It's not hard at all. You can see here an example of some really big carving craters. The bottom of them is the exact finished depth of the master. So if I just fair those out until those disappear, I couldn't get on them because the way I had it clamped, so I'll do that next. Well, not next, but at some point. And then I also got to figure out how I'm going to finish off the front of the cheek piece. I'm probably going to put a flute in here and fair that in. And then there's a little bit of a flute on this side from the factory stock from the master, so I'll use a drum sander and finish off that flute here and really accentuate it. Yeah, I think this is going to be great. I'll check in with you in a while.